We begin today with a Monday riddle for you. What do windmills, a radio show host, a former American president, and the Washington Commanders all have in common today? Maybe you can guess. They are all targets of Donald Trump's rage as he tries anything and everything to distract us from the furor over the Epstein case, which of course has weakened his grip on his own base of supporters. One of his latest targets, radio show host, podcaster Charlamagne tha God. In a long rant, Donald Trump trotted out his usual laundry list of insults for Charlamagne, especially for Donald Trump when the target in question happens to be a black man. Take a listen to what set Donald Trump off in the first place.
I think there's a political coup going on right now in the Republican Party that people aren't paying attention to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that this Epstein thing is going to be a way for traditional conservatives to take their party back. This is the issue that has gotten the base riled up. The MAGA base isn't letting this issue go, and for the first time, they know they can, probably take their party back and not piss off the MAGA base. I think they're going to do that.
Don't let it be lost that he said those things to Donald Trump's daughter-in-law. Charlamagne, of course, also poking at Donald Trump's soft spot, his greatest political weakness. Because weeks after the release of a memo that tried to pour cold water on the claims of bombshells hidden in the Epstein files, claims that were spread for many, many years by Donald Trump's own closest allies and now senior-most aides. After that, 16% of Americans now approve of Donald Trump's handling of the Epstein case. That's according to a poll by the Washington Post. Even among MAGA Republicans, just 43% of them approve of how Donald Trump is handling the Epstein case. In the face of those poll numbers, Donald Trump has tried and failed to change the subject over and over and over again. In the last couple of weeks, he's threatened to strip Rosie O'Donnell of her citizenship, something he has no right to do. He has accused President Barack Obama of treason over the Russia investigation, using accusations debunked by his own Secretary of State, as well as the special counsel appointed by Attorney General Bill Barr. He's also demanded that the Washington Commanders and the Cleveland Guardians change their names back. He has lashed out at Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Stephen Colbert. And we could go on and on. It would take all 2 hours. Maybe we'll try it one day. A few hours ago, he took digs at Taylor Swift, and he attacked Bud Light. And for good measure, he also attacked Senator Elizabeth Warren. Importantly, though, not a single one of those attacks on our wall of rage has succeeded in steering the conversation or moving the poll numbers away from his handling of the Epstein case. It's partly because everything his administration does only invites more questions, more pushback, more skepticism. On Epstein accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell's sudden move to a minimum security prison, MSNBC reports this: Maxwell was actually ineligible to be transferred to a low security prison because she is a convicted sex offender. And to do this, the administration had to get a waiver. A consultant who deals with the Bureau of Prisons tells MSNBC's Ken Dilanian that he has never seen this done before for a convicted sex offender. First for everything. The Bulwark writes it like this, quote, Ghislaine Maxwell, one of two organizers of a massive and horrendous child sex trafficking ring, of which Donald Trump appears to have had considerable contemporaneous knowledge, meets with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States of America, who had previously been Donald Trump's private lawyer, and the White House openly embraces it 1 week later. Contrary to the normal rules for a prisoner convicted of her crimes, Ghislaine Maxwell is transferred to a minimum security club-fed facility. This was presumably a down payment on not spilling the beans about Trump, and perhaps as an interim step on the way to a pardon. This cover-up is happening in broad daylight. Donald Trump trying and failing to distract from what appears to be a cover-up of some aspect of the Epstein case is where we start once again today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. MSNBC senior White House correspondent Vaughn Hilliard is here. Also joining us, managing editor of The Bulwark, MSNBC contributor Sam Stein is here. And MSNBC columnist, author of the newsletter To the Contrary, Charlie Sykes is here. Vaughn Hilliard, I guess I would start with you. And my question about Trump 2.0 is who's going to tell him that his desperation is showing?
I think that's a fair question to ask here 6 months in, because at this point in time, it does not appear that anybody internally that is somebody that goes and tries to gut check the president of the United States. And I was actually on weekend duty for this network this weekend over in New Jersey, just down from his Bedminster club where he was playing golf on Saturday. And as part of my duties, I was watching on not only Saturday night that interview that took place between Laura Trump and Charlamagne the God, which actually, to be clear, the president's response, I think, is telling in a lot of ways about particularly the Jeffrey Epstein part, because the rest of the conversation was actually a pretty human conversation that took place between his daughter-in-law and Charlamagne the God. But then also on Friday night, there was one part of an interview on Newsmax that took place that I think actually kind of came and went without much attention, but plays into your intro here this evening. And that is, Nicole, when the president was asked specifically about whether he would pardon Sean Diddy Combs. And he noted, after not ruling out a pardon for potentially Ghislaine Maxwell, when it came to Sean Diddy Combs, he said, well, that one would be more unlikely because Sean Diddy Combs was, quote, very hostile to him when he got into politics in so many ways. For as much of a distraction effort there may be underway within this White House to take away from the Jeffrey Epstein files and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, at the same time, he is also speaking so much in a way that it is very transparent that his mindset moves hour to hour. And in a situation like that, was quite revealing to suggest that, while Ghislaine Maxwell he would not rule out a pardon for, he effectively ruled one out for Sean Diddy Combs because he was hostile to him when it came to politics.
Vaughn, why are they talking to Maxwell? I know it's been happening. I know it happened a long time. I mean, what is their answer for why Todd Blanche is talking to Maxwell? And then I guess the second question is, why did they move her?
Well, the White House's response is that they're fighting for transparency. Now, obviously, we realize that there's a lot into that, and the president could do more to release these files. But they're contending that they are seeking to go and try to reveal these grand jury transcripts. Now, interestingly, the responses to those New York federal judges from not only Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, but also the victim's attorney, is due in court tomorrow. And it is not clear at this point in time whether the Department of Justice has requested that not just the grand jury transcripts, which we know are essentially the testimony of just two law enforcement personnel to the grand jury, but also whether there is greater material that the Department of Justice will seek to have be revealed, because the one federal judge did explicitly ask the Department of Justice in their filing to detail the other material that was used to bring forward to the grand jury. And so for this White House, I think that there's a lot more that they clearly could do. At the same time, this is a moment where Donald Trump has done everything but explain his relationship that spanned at least 15 years with Jeffrey Epstein. It would take a long, extended interview for him to openly discuss why he viewed Virginia Giuffre as having been stolen from his property, and what exactly he knew and perhaps did not share, but what was understood across Palm Beach, a moment of reckoning, if you will, whether he was involved in any criminal acts or not. Of course, those have not been explicitly alleged against him when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein. But what did he know? And was there something else that could be taken away by him and others that perhaps are in these files that in this year of 2025 could be a moment that could actually advance this conversation and advance this moment for the victims and their families who went through so much at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell?
Vaughn, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we understand from Julie K. Brown and Tara Palmieri, who've covered the Epstein victims extensively, that Ghislaine Maxwell was involved in the sexual assault of children, that she was the one that told young girls allegedly to take their panties off. That's a quote from Julie K. Brown. She is a convicted sex offender. Are reporters hammering Donald Trump with questions about why he is making her more comfortable as a convicted sex offender? I mean, what is the climate like? Can you take me inside his press avails?
I wish that I was in New Jersey on the actual tarmac getting the chance to ask the questions. I was not a part of the pool that had the opportunity to do that. To give folks kind of an idea, when you're hearing, like, for example, last night they're on the tarmac in New Jersey before he came back here to Washington, I would say perhaps 75%, 3 out of 4 of the individuals who are there asking him questions are part of either you could call MAGA media, conservative media, or right-wing propaganda. There may be one print and one television producer, reporter that come from traditional media outlets like our own. But other than that, there are voices that have been handpicked by this administration who ask him instead about his relationship with Laura Loomer and Sydney Sweeney and her Jeans television ad. And so in so many ways, and oftentimes in these situations, when you watch, whether it's in the White House or on the tarmac, you are not seeing necessarily always even follow-up questions hammering in. And I think that that is where the president, of course, would have plenty of opportunities to sit down for a one-on-one interview to discuss Jeffrey Epstein. But we have not heard him go into great detail about Ghislaine Maxwell and his relationship with her. Of course, it was with our friend Jonathan Swan back in 2020 when, upon her being indicted and ultimately convicted for being a sex trafficker, he wished her well. And beyond that, we have not heard him go into detail about the victims and their accounts of Ghislaine Maxwell and what she did to them. But instead, we have heard him essentially push aside and even question just how serious of crimes Ghislaine Maxwell committed.